We're good. We're good live, right?
If that's we're live.
Okay, go ahead and go.
All right. Today is September 12th, and this is a meeting to check in on active development tasks for Backdrop CMS. Before we get into code stuff, I just wanted to say that there are a ton of issues in the Backdrop contrib queue this week about people that are either working on modules or people that have requested modules. So it looks like there's sort of a jump in activity, which is really exciting. Also on the API website, I updated that to Backdrop 114, the preview release. So if anyone wants to have a site to test and see if it's working any differently for 114, I figured that was a safe one. In the past, I think we updated both the forum and the live site, and we've decided those are too important now to risk with anything that might still have bugs in it. So the preview or the API site, I thought was a nice safe place because we don't have a lot of logged in users there. I think that's it. I don't know if we want to talk about nightly development releases. I think we talked about them last week. I
think we should focus on the new release now. It's coming up, and then we can leave it for later.
Okay, sounds good. I looked at the translation site today, and I was really excited to see that there's a whole bunch of new languages on there. So I think Olaf said we've gotten a couple of new language maintainers or language contributors, which was really great. So I hadn't looked at it in a while. I was really excited to see a huge jump there too.
Yeah, there's activity with language and related issues in the core queue as well, with some new and some existing members.
That's
working
great.
on such issues. Yeah.
All right. So that is all I have for inside stuff. So let's turn it over to Nate to talk about issues.
Sure. Okay, so like Gregory suggested, I think we'll focus on 114 for this meeting, but real quick update on, don't delete it please, on 113 for that the views is none of operator issue 3614. We've seen some additional activity on there. Dr. Beaumont is doing some research. Jen says that she'll read through that feedback and see if we can figure things out. So good to see some movement there. And views cross-ports, we're constantly porting functionality over from 777 version of views. 3685 is the main meta, and Gregory has been making more pull requests. so that's good. We still have more reviewing to do.
So for that release, we have like 15 closed tickets, and there's like at least 6 that I can see out of the 46 in the milestone that are RTBC. So yeah, looking good.
Sure. Yeah, shout out to our core committers out there. Like, this is definitely an area that we could use some additional help, reviewing these things so that it doesn't all just get backlogged on one person. So usually those things are all pretty straightforward, and they've already been approved by the Drupal community. So there's usually nothing to do there except for make sure that what was intended to be fixed was actually fixed. Okay, 114. 114 is coming out in 3 days. That's really soon. So that'll be the end of Sunday this week. And we have a lot of really awesome features that are in 114, and we have some follow-ups that need addressing. So let's see, we've got the main features, and we'll go through each one of them and kind of go over some of the follow-ups that are currently in progress. So fieldable files, issue 2632. Files are now full entities in Backdrop 114, and that means that you can add fields to them and configure display modes and things like that for individual files. So there's a big kind of meta project on GitHub for media management. That's probably the best place to go to see like follow-ups that are related to fieldable files. I don't think that we have any fieldable file issues that are targeted for 114. I think fieldable files thus far, the testing that people have done, what we have right now is what's going to ship. So there's a lot of follow-ups to further improve the way that fieldable files work. for future releases, but for 1.14, pretty much what we have right now is what's going to be shipping.
Yeah, I was thinking when I said follow-ups, they were just user interface improvements, not any actual the big feature edition follow-ups. Those can come later.
Are there any user interface changes that are likely to be in 1.14? Have we covered any of those?
The one that I want is to get rid of the manage files. So manage file displays tab that's different from the manage field displays tab. But
I don't think that's feasible for the next 3 days, though. That's a big task.
We'll see.
Okay. That means you're going to try, huh? Do we have an issue for that?
I don't think so. It was just mentioned in the main one.
Yeah, that definitely would be a really great thing to have happen. Okay. Let's see. Flexible layout templates, issue 3755. We can now configure templates through the user interface rather than needing to make one through custom theming, which is a little bit sad because that's one of the things we always talk about in our workshops, like how to make a custom layout. And now that you can do it in the user interface, we don't really have a good example to be like, here's how you make custom layouts, because most people probably won't need to do it anymore. Let's see, that issue is 3755. And there's 2 follow-ups that we have for 1.14, issue 4023, that we missed adding the new flexible layout config files to hook config info in layout module, which means that if you have a custom layout and you try to do full site import and exports, it won't work because all config files have to be allocated to some module in order to import properly. So issue 4023 just adds that missing entries, and it's already RTBC, so that should be merged in shortly. Another issue 4024, setting a default region, flexible layout templates. This is probably my fault in the last minute changes that we had. Flexible layout templates have UUID based region names. So they're basically just random hashes for the region names. And setting a default region makes it so that if you, what is its primary use case? If you change a layout,
for the default content block, sort of like pseudo.
Oh, for the main content block. Yes, that's it. So if you override a page that already has a path, the main content block gets placed into the default region. And because there's no default region named content anymore in custom layouts, the main content block doesn't know where it's supposed to go.
So we had a fallback for that. If there was no such region, it would pick up the last region, like the footer, the very last region. But I don't know why it's not picking that up either. So there's some fault in the logic there.
Yeah, that would be a pretty good substitute as well if we don't have time to find a place to add that setting for make a default region.
Yeah, and we already have a message which says there was no respective region found, so we moved everything to region X. So feel free to move the blocks around. So
yeah, it's kind of it's a minor inconvenience, but one that we should try to improve a little bit. I don't think there's any pull request or anything on 4024 yet.
No, we're just trying to figure out where the fault is at in the logic. And then.
Okay. So okay, yeah, I'll just leave it with that. Like there's discussion going on. We're trying to figure that one out. Let's see. Moving on, 114 has an editor role out of the box. This was in issue. 1285. Sorry, Klonos, your name was covering up the link in the
Sorry.
So 1285 is the issue where we added the editor role. We don't have any follow-ups that I've seen. Do you guys know of any follow-ups to that issue?
Nope. It was,
Okay.
it was
Yeah,
a
I
very
think
small
that
change. Yeah.
we need a sanity check on the permissions that are assigned to the editor role,
Yep.
just to make sure that we aren't granting them too much permission immediately out of the box.
I think
Yeah.
that we went with the option of the very limited permissions and not be as permissive. But yeah, so the
I think
feedback
it'd
is
just be good to get people's eyes on it. If we could get people to try it, like, does
Yeah.
it make sense? Yes, no.
Yeah. And one of the great things is because this is just an out of the box change, we could change the permissions at any time and it has almost no impact,
Yeah.
So it only affects new sites. So
yeah.
No comments yet on that thing. I obviously thought that they were fine when we pulled it in. So, but if you have any thoughts on permissions that should be changed, then make a new issue and suggest your changes. Let's see, follow-ups to the welcome to backdrop block, issue 3994. There are a bunch of follow-ups on this one, including like adding the ability to make blocks dismissible, making blocks potentially collapsible, visibility checks.
Yeah, at some point, Jen had a concern about one of the items that was in the first column, which is supposed to be low level, like beginner stuff, which was the one that was saying configure the layout of your homepage, maybe move it to the next one. So we just need a small feedback on whether links should be moved to other columns or changed or added, or new ones added, or the old ones removed. So yeah, more stuff like that, but it's trivial.
So
Yeah.
specifically for users with lower levels, like not user one, right? Look at it with like the new editor role, make sure it looks good.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Yep. Okay, so discussion is just happening on all of those things. Probably nothing is like super critical for 114 though, like and because these are like UX changes, I think we probably, for like rearranging the menu links or something like that, like those could probably even be made post-release. Okay, so those are the kind of headlining features and the follow-ups that we know about thus far. We also have two other issues that are part of the ongoing task to just make sure third-party libraries are up to date. That in the next couple of days, we'd like to do two things at least, which is update CK editor to the latest version 4 release. The issue for that is 3355. Just update it. There's the updating CK editor isn't exactly straightforward, but there's a documented process for going over it. And then updating smart menus to the latest version that doesn't cause any breakage. So that's issue 3715. Gregory had done some work at one point doing minor updates, which caused no problem. And potentially we should update to some of those earlier pull requests that just got us updated a couple of versions. But then the latest version of smart menus apparently causes some breakage. And so at least doing the modest update to get to the latest version that doesn't cause any breaks would be worthwhile.
Yeah. CK editor will probably have a pull request later today, like in Australian time though, so like in like maybe 12 hours from now. But smart menus, I'm not sure. I'll try it over the weekend and see.
Okay.
Yep.
That's it. Do you guys have, I think that's actually everything in the 114 milestone. We covered literally everything that was in there. Do you guys have anything else that we should be including?
There's many exciting, like BW Panda has been digging up issues from the past, exciting small or not so small things that we could start working, but not on the 114. Maybe that's for next, next week's meeting.
Yeah, I remember at the beginning of this cycle, we had a really pretty excellent meeting that was like the prioritization planning meeting.
Yeah.
Let's see, who remembers how that worked?
So this was a request from Doc Wilmot, which was like they needed more focus on specific things, like on one or two tasks rather than jumping from issue to issue. And the way that we implemented this with the labels of milestone candidates, either minor or bug releases, it has helped a lot, because I think and the advocate, sort of like Notion advocate. So I think it has worked pretty well for us during this release. What happens is usually, I don't know, the first few weeks after the minor release, people start picking issues, advocates start advocating for those issues, and we just settle and start working on it. But as usual, most of the biggest chunk of the work happens like during the last month before the release.
Or in this case, like
the last week.
Last week, but fieldable files was that the majority of that work had probably happened like ages ago, which was kind of
a year ago.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so great points though, Colonos, that now that we've gotten a lot of these major issues in, like that means that people that had previously been advocating for those issues are now free to pick new issues. And so as those issues are chosen, and anybody can be an advocate. You don't have to be anybody special at all, but you only get one. That's kind of the deal. And so, we'll start to like basically soliciting like, hey, who's out there that wants to advocate for particular issues? And then if we have advocates, then we'll start mentioning them during the weekly meetings and giving them priority for the next version for 115.
Just a minor correction. Each one gets one, but until that gets finished. So if it's close to finish, then they can pick another one. If it finishes before that time or something, if it's close to completion, that is.
Right.
There's exceptions.
There's a fuzziness to that, yeah.
I already have one issue that's close to completion. Am I allowed to pick up another one?
Yes.
So the pull request that's like needs code review.
Yeah.
And people are testing it and it's working.
Yeah, that's what Gregory did for trusted host patterns, because that was ready for like months. And so he picked up another one.
It was almost a year, it was almost ready. What I wanted to say. And then the other thing is, because we have so many great new features added in this release, we have a lot of things to work as a follow-up during the minor, like UX improvements and things like that. But the only big thing that comes to mind, other than what did we push for next one? What didn't make it? It was which ticket?
Mine didn't make it. The digital signatures.
Signing.
Yeah.
Also the welcome block and the enabling disabled text formats.
No, the welcome block got in, but the news block did not.
Right. That's what I meant.
News block didn't make it. Yeah, so we have those three, and then the only major one that comes to mind is, which some substantial work has come to mind, is references.
Yeah.
So that would be good to just, I think that Mike did a lot of work, but at some point he got stuck. I can't remember what. It's a big undertaking.
Yeah, fieldable files helps with references slightly, because files were inconsistent in the way they act versus other types of entities. So remember that being one point of stickiness.
Plus, we have some sort of small or big ones, like the adding the ability to. So when you add a file widget, use the library thing that we had, the dialog. Because now the media library is being used only in CKeditors, like the rich text editor. So there's a follow-up issue, I can't remember now, to make that consistent with like when adding files. And maybe bulk file uploads. There's nice, as I said, there's good issues to work on for next release. But yeah, let's focus on 114 for now and see.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it then. Anything else from you guys?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh yes, there's a small thing that came up, not related to the product. It was I can't remember what I wanted to work on, and noticed that the sanitized database backups are out of date. Maybe they haven't been moved to the new servers, but I'll contact Justin about it.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great. Okay. All right. Well, thanks everybody. I mean, the three of us for joining. Thanks everybody out there for watching. And yeah, 3 days till release, and then yeah, well, I'll have some like pie or something to celebrate. Okay. All right. Thanks everybody. See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.